Hello to my friend. Today I'm going to tell you about a 2017 movie called 12 Feet Deep. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. In the public pool, McGrady's manager is putting up an ad that says they will be closed for the holiday weekend. Meanwhile, the main character, Bree, is swimming in the pool, takes a break in order to monitor the level of glucose in the blood, and they take off the diamond ring. Before returning to the pool, her sister Jonah is sitting outside in the parking lot in her car, not knowing whether to go into the pool or not. After a short thought, she leaves her phone in the glove compartment and enters the building. He puts on a swimsuit and approaches his sister. Bree is glad to see her, because they haven't seen each other for a long time. She was in a rehabilitation center, but she has been feeling well for 3 months. After a short conversation, Jonah joins Bree in the pool. In the fines department, the cleaner Clara tries to steal some money from forgotten wallets. At this time, McGrady enters and catches her in the act, and he says he's sorry that he spoke well of her, and also says that when she finishes today, she's free to do her job, and he doesn't work here anymore. The sisters have a good day swimming together until the McGradys come and tells them to leave as they have already. They are closing. Jonah points out that the pool is open until 7, but McGrady explains that they close earlier for the holiday weekend and mentions that some people should learn to read. What Jonah is offended by coming out of the pool. They dry off and Bree decides to show Johnny her ring, but can't find it in her bag. Jonah inspects the pool and sees a ring stuck in the grate at the bottom of the pool. So Bree dives back in to get it, no matter how hard she tries, but she can't get the ring out of the grate. So Jonah also decides to jump in to help her, since both girls are under water and the rest of the visitors have left. McGrady, thinking that there is no one left in the building, begins the process of closing the pool. Suddenly Johnny's hair is sucked into the grate. Trying to free themselves, the girls do not notice how the cover over the pool is closed. The hair they tend to come up, but it's too late. Now they are trapped in. Horrified, the sisters begin to hit the lid and call for help, but McGrady has already left the building and Jonah thinks he did it on purpose. After a moment of excitement, they decide to try to lift the lid just to see how strong it is, but of course it does not give in. Next, Bree suggests checking all the joints to find a weak spot. Looking around, Jonah finds someone's swimming trunks and condensation holes in the cover, and Bree manages to remove the plastic cover from one of the holes in the wall. She breaks it in half and tries to widen the hole in the cover, and Jonah continues to make negative and sarcastic comments, especially when Bree reports that married her boyfriend David. Bree says it's not her fault that Jonah snorts and reminds Bree that she had a hard time in rehab and only got worse when she came back and didn't find her sister at home. It makes Bree comes to the conclusion that this is her sister. I threw the ring into the water. Angry, she swims to the bottom of the pool and again tries to get the ring, and this time she succeeds. Bree comes up and sees that Jonah is trying to punch a hole in the lid with a shard and injures his hand. She tells her that, in her opinion, the grid can be used to try break the fiberglass, but she doesn't have enough strength to get it. Therefore, she asks John for help, but she does not agree because she considers it pointless. Suddenly they hear a melody on Bree's phone. David calls, which gives Bree hope that he will soon notice that she has left. Bree dives again and unsuccessfully tries to tear off the grate. As night falls, Jonah continues to look for a weak spot. After an argument, David calls again. Jonah notices that something is wrong with his sister and asks her. Bree admits that 3 years ago she was diagnosed with diabetes. She needs an injection, which she left in her bag. If she doesn't take it soon, she may fall into a coma. When Clara returns to the building to finish her shift with Bree and John takes turns trying to cut holes in the cover. Jonah notices the burn marks on Bree's arm and says that they never discussed it, but they should, because her doctor at the rehabilitation center advised her. She wants to know what really happened on the day their father died, because she doesn't remember anything and only knows bits and pieces that Mom and Bree told her throughout. For many years, Bree has been calling her father a monster and telling John that night he came back drunk and smoked a cigarette, passed out and fell on the pillow and caught fire, but he didn't scream because he was so drunk that he didn't even notice that he was burning alive. Bree got burns on her hand when she tried to wake him up. Their conversation is suddenly interrupted when Clara enters the room. She hears Bree's phone start ringing again and comes closer to steal it. The girls call for help and Clara asks them how they got there, simultaneously rummaging through Bree's wallet, but she stops when she notices the surveillance cameras, telling the girls to wait a little. She goes to the control room to turn off the cameras, then goes to the pool and asks the sisters some strange questions. Then he asks asks for the phone password. Bree gives it to her thinking she will call the police, but instead, Clara teases her for the photos and turns on David's voicemails to them. Jonah is losing patience, insults her. Getting down to business, Clara explains that she needs to pay a lot of bills since she can't find a good job after being incarcerated. If the sisters want her to, Bree took them out, has to give her the PIN code from her bank card. The sisters at first disagree, but Clara turns off the heater and threatens them with a cold night, so that Bree has no other choice but and tells her the PIN code. Clara leaves with her purse, and the sisters snuggle up to each other to keep warm. A couple of hours later, Bree begins to really suffer from the cold, so Jonah decides that it's her turn to try to tear off the drain cover, but fear does not allow her to even get close to it. Surfacing, she notices that Bree has fallen asleep and is in a hurry to wake her up. She admits that she didn't even swim up to the drain because she got cold feet and calls herself useless. After that, Jonah tries to make a hole in the lid with a shard again, but Bree considers it a waste of time and energy. But Jonah, he answers that you need to move, the only way to get warm. Bree pushes her to tell about the suicide attempt, and John explains that he feels like he is living monsters that eat her. The father insulted them and his voice never left his mind. Johnny suddenly, an eye appears in the opening of the cover, which scares the sisters. It's Clara. She complains that Bree has only $80 in her bank account. The sisters ask her for help, and she gets angry saying that they are not special, and she has problems too. Said she would leave them there to die and leaves the room to get ready with thoughts. Then Joni has an idea and she starts sharpening a plastic shard against the wall. When Clara returns, John pretends to cry, apologizes, and wants to confess something. She intends to speak very quietly, so Clara puts her ear to the hole to hear her better, and John pierces her with a shard. Furious, Clara goes to the mirror to check her wound, then goes to the control room to turn on the automatic pool cleaning system. As a result, the girls begin to suffocate from chlorine. They try to block the nozzles with their hands and found previously with swimming trunks, but the flow is too strong. Bree loses consciousness for a few seconds, and Jonah tries not to let her drown and makes Clara realize the danger of her actions, so she took pity on them and returns to the control room to turn off the cleaning system. When she returns, she tells the sisters that she is now in control of the situation and demands that Bree give her the ring in exchange for their freedom. Jonah asks her not to, but Bree agrees, realizing that they have no other options. When she receives the ring, Clara leaves the room, telling them that she will release them when she is ready. Bree, needing privacy, swims across to the opposite side of the pool and falls asleep on the floats. She dreams that David has brought several firefighters with him to rescue her. When she wakes up, she finds Jonah with a piece of plastic around her neck and thinks about Bree's suicide, dissuades her from it, and promises that she will be there when all this is over. Jonah apologizes and hugs her. Meanwhile, Clara looks at the ring and listens to David's messages, trying to make a decision. When she returns to the pool, Bree says, "Johnny, repeat after her." The girls say that they know that she is not a monster, and after all, the thought they decided that from now on they will change a little in their lives. Clara sympathizes with them and finally agrees to help, but when she goes to the control room and drives the code, it doesn't work. She tells the girls, and they ask her to call the police instead, but Clara is afraid of going to jail again, so putting Bree's bag back on the bench, she leaves the building. A few more hours pass and Bree becomes very weak. John dives in and tries to tear it off again. The grid. Her first two attempts were unsuccessful, but she has an idea for the third. She grabs the swimming trunks they found earlier and wraps them around the bars. She manages to get them. Jonah lifts her to the surface and notices that Britt is unconscious. After giving her artificial respiration, she hits the grate on the cover and finally manages to break it. Taking Bree out of the pool, they both get cuts from the sharp edges of the fiberglass. Her sister, still unconscious, so Jonah brings a bag and looks for an insulin syringe. She gives Bree an injection and she finally wakes up. However, their happiness did not last long, because Clara suddenly appears in front of them and points her gun at them, because she's afraid the girls might tell the police about her. Jonah tells her that he understands that she has lost a lot and begs her not to do anything with Bree, because this is all she has left in her life. In the end, Clara puts the gun away and returns the ring. John grabs the phone. Bree calls the police and tells Clara, leave before they arrive. After that, Bree wakes up on a stretcher surrounded by paramedics and her sister. Jonah returns the ring to her, and when Bree asks how she got it back, Jonah replies that they killed the monster. The sisters hug and the medics take them away. This is where the film ends. Subscribe. Why?